And I've said everything under the sun because there were so many times that for whatever reason, like if I was like, oh, can you put your hands behind your back? People would be like, fuck you, right? And I'd be like, put your fucking hands behind your fucking back. And they would respond, so it's like sometimes it's the cursing that causes people's brains to shift. And what I mean by that is how many times have we gone to all these networking events and we hear the typical 30-second pitch, right? And everybody's like, all they hear is blah, 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 blah. However, when I say, I have the Get Shit Done podcast or I'm a Get Shit Done coach, that stops people in their tracks. And they're like, ooh, what did she just say? Hey, I want to hear more about what that crazy woman has to say.
Look into his eyes. They're the eyes of a man obsessed by
success.
Eyes that mock our sacred institutions. Bedroom eyes, they call them in a bygone day.
Sex desire is the most powerful of human desires. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. So strong and impelling is the desire for sexual contact that men freely run the risk of life and reputation to indulge in. When harnessed and redirected along other lines, this motivating force maintains all of its attributes of keenness of imagination, courage, etc., which may be used as powerful creative forces in literature, art, or in any other profession or calling, including, of course, the accumulation of riches. Napoleon Hill.
Hey there, peeps. Welcome to the Little Blue Pill. Little Blue Pill for Business, where we know that it's all about the 6 inches between your ears. And I interview some of the hottest people in the industry that are blowing and going so that we can help you get in on some action. So if you like a little tongue in cheek and not just physically, this podcast is for you. So I'd like to welcome my guest today. We are jumping in bed with none other than Miss Julie Jones.
Did you say we're jumping in bed? Because
you betcha, baby.
I'm liking it.
We get to know every little dirty detail about you, and it's going to be awesome. So yes, when two businesses get together, it's often said that they jumped in bed together, and nobody really knew what that meant until now. And now they do. So give us a highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Woo! Well, as I always say, that's a loaded question, and it loaded in the fact that I used to carry a loaded gun. So I am a former police officer and SWAT member, and now I'm passionate about people really, truly living in the moment. Stop waiting for tomorrow, start living for today. And I do that through speaking, coaching. I'm a podcast host of the Get Shit Done podcast, as well as a TV show, and I am an author. And I love that we are on the Little Blue Pill because I know that our conversation is probably going to go south.
It's definitely going south. But before we go south, I have to ask, did you ever sleep with your gun?
Well, I sleep now with my gun in my nightstand, right? Because you never know what might happen. I might get mad at my husband. No, just kidding. Pistol whip him, right? And the handcuffs too. Those are like bedside as well.
All important tools.
All important tools, for living in this world today. I mean, we've got the dogs and we've got the security system, but again, you can never be too safe.
So how did you get from SWAT to business coaching? That seems very different parallel universes.
Well, it is, but it isn't, right? Because you have to tell people the way that it is. I always say people don't pay me for fluff, and you certainly didn't deal with fluff on the SWAT team as well. So kind of a journey along the fact that, again, seeing how everybody thinks that they have tomorrow. Hardest thing I ever had to do in law enforcement was really giving people death notifications, here today, gone tomorrow. And then in my own life, my mom passed away at the age of 59 from early onset Alzheimer's. Now, let's just be clear. I think that it was more than just that. I think hers was medication induced, as well as some, as I call, stinking thinking. I often talk about this, but my mom's mother died at the age of 60. And my mom was so focused in that she didn't want to die at the age of 60 that she died 2 months short of her 60th birthday, right? So like when we say to think is to create, in some aspects, I really believe that that's what happened with my mom, because there's no other history of early onset Alzheimer's in our family anywhere. And, but seeing how quickly she died and that she took her dreams to the grave, I was very clear that I wasn't doing the same. And I wasn't exactly thrilled with law enforcement because you dealt with a lot of negativity. And so I really wanted to focus in on being able to help people, but helping people in a way that was going to be much more impactful.
Absolutely. I love it. So when you're working with people, who do you tend to work with? Who do you love to work with?
Strong individuals, right? I have a lot of masculine energy, and I'm very direct. So no crybabies. Let's be honest, right? I don't want to hear your sob story. Like we all have a story.
Unless you have a
And
masochistic tendency.
Yeah. And like, oh, honestly, like I know because our stories are who make us today. But like, if you're ready to get rid of that story and to really live the life of design rather than default, that's who I work with. And I work with people who are open to the idea of change and who are looking for something different. For many people who know me, I'm not your typical run-of-the-mill coach. I'm not cookie cutter by any means. I don't certainly look cookie cutter. I mean, right? Like I have a personality that's out there and I can be pretty, what's the word I want to say? I guess like outlandish when it comes to challenging you to do some things that maybe you've never thought about. I call it blowing up the box. It's like, screw the box. Like we die in a box and we watch the idiot box. It's like, okay, just forget about the box and, start living outside of that box.
Nice. So how did you come up with the name like Get Shit Done?
Well, here's the thing, quite honestly, some of the training that I've done, okay, there are people who take offense at swearing. Obviously, I am not one of those people. Otherwise, I wouldn't fucking be here, right?
Exactly. Well, and if they are, it's because they like being offended. So it's all good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So if you like to be offended, hang out with me. And because that's the thing that people always talk to me about. They're like, they'll swear in front of me, right? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm dropping F-bombs. I'm like, you do remember that I used to be a police officer and I have heard everything under the sun. And I've said everything under the sun because there were so many times that for whatever reason, like if I was like, oh, can you put your hands behind your back? People would be like, fuck you, right? And I'd be like, put your fucking hands behind your fucking back. And they would respond, so it's like sometimes it's the cursing that causes people's brains to shift. And what I mean by that is how many times have we gone to all these networking events and we hear the typical 30-second pitch, right? And everybody's like, all they hear is blah, 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 blah. However, when I say, I have the Get Shit Done podcast or I'm a Get Shit Done coach, that stops people in their tracks. And they're like, ooh, what did she just say? Hey, I want to hear more about what that crazy woman has to say. And that's really what it's about. It is a brain shifter. It just creates this idea of getting out of your hypnotic state because most of the time we are in a hypnotic trance, believe it or not. And it's something that catches your attention and you decide to start paying attention.
I love it. And I think there's gravitas to being able to swear effectively and to be able to get attention because people who use it too often, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that's them. And, we'll just ignore everything they say from now on. Whereas when you can emphasize what you're saying in a way that gets people's attention and you're looking at them and you're watching them and you're seeing kind of, are you getting what I'm saying? You're not getting what I'm saying. And I think when somebody's paying you to make substantial changes in their lives, you have to have the personality to be able to kind of shock them into getting out of that hypnotic state and doing the shit they need to get done.
Well, absolutely. Because, people can live in their stories so much that sometimes they don't even like feel it anymore, right? Like they talk about people who are speakers that share their story from stage, but you never want it to become so mundane or matter of fact. Like if you no longer are feeling or vibing with that, then it's become almost like habit or automatic pilot. And that's what I really want to get people out of, is this idea of being in automatic pilot. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I really believe that people need to enjoy life and like get to enjoy life and kind of be a little bit more rather than do. Because I mean, that's what leads you to the hamster wheel, and that leads to the overworked, the overwhelmed, and the stress. So the get shit done is the idea behind, okay, being productive, not woo, busy, as I call it. Like everybody wants to be busy. Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm busy. Okay, busy doing what? Like we're all busy. Like if I hear somebody say that one more time, I swear I'm going to slug them. Like, yes, we're all busy. Hello. Like, you know, show me somebody who's not, and they're probably 6 feet underground. Like, let's just be honest.
Right. Well, I heard somebody the other day say somebody who says they're too busy means that they don't have a structure or a system for getting things done that they need to get done. And anybody who says that needs to, look at that and go, hey, I clearly need a system for getting this done, and let's back up the bus and go do it. I also think that there's a kind of going back to our previous conversation, I think there's a freedom and liberty. Well, I know there's freedom and liberty to being able to say what you want to say when you want to say it. And I think having somebody like you around gives people permission to be able to step out and do things. So sometimes they're going to say things a little awkwardly, like, fuck, did I just say that? Like, oh, that was so cute. You tried. Yay. Do it again.
Well, it is, like I live by this philosophy that it's better to ask for forgiveness than, permission, right?
Right.
And so people know that it's just being real. Like if it's not comfortable for you, it's okay if you don't swear. However, like if you really take offense by other people swearing, I think that's something to really look at. Like, why is that? Because again, like somebody a million years ago decided that these words were going to be curse words. It's like, okay, I'd like to talk to that person and ask, like, why that word? It could have been any other word. It could have been poop. Could have been like get poop done instead of get shit done. Now, I know it doesn't have the same connotation because we're so used to it. But like, really, somebody at some point said, nope, that's going to be the curse word. It's like, again, they're just words. But like sometimes words can be very effective in getting your point across and, really taking a stand on something.
Well, and I think there's something to the semantics of it, because I know that, when you're running across the room and you nail yourself in the furniture, first thing out of your mouth is not poop. I don't care who you are. It's just not happening. And and it's that giving yourself permission to do things. So talk to me about kind of the constraints and the confinements that you've noticed people putting themselves in, because I don't think it's just the wording of the thing and how we say it. It extends well beyond that.
Well, I think the whole permission thing is an attribute of when you want to be a people pleaser. And it's really about that you're putting everybody else's priorities before your own. And so many people think that like either self-care or what they want to do is selfish. And I'm here to tell you, it's not. It's so important. And I know that you said that your listening audience may be, a little bit more male. Men seem to have no problem. Like, hey, this is what I want. And this is when I want it. Right. But as women, a lot of times we're not as bold in asking for what we want. And that's a real issue, because we're doing for everyone else. And somehow we're last on the list. And I'm not saying that that's like the end all be all. So if anybody just took offense to that, well,
whatever.
Forgive me.
Come talk to me
I'm
later.
not
We'll do
asking
some
for
therapy.
permission. I'm like, like forgive me for offending, for offending you in that moment. However, I really believe that it's like we as human beings, have got to start putting ourselves first, and in such a way that we know what we want and that we're a better person then for those around us. Because if we're putting ourselves last all the time, again, like you're not able to pour from an empty cup, and you become angry and you become resentful and you lack of patience and all these things. That the biggest thing missing, I believe, in society right now is this element of at least being kind to each other. Like, everybody's ready to go off the top rail on everybody else. Part of that probably, still stems from the residuals of, the pandemic. But it's like, when did, it become such a place where, you're wrong, I'm right. Like, we have a lot more of that than we ever had before. And it's like, again, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes to know where they're coming from.
Well, I do think a lot of that came from the advent of social media, and particularly the lockdown, isolating people from, it's really easy to see something behind a glass block. It's like a Chihuahua and a Doberman get together behind a glass wall, and it's like, it's on. You remove that glass wall and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's okay. It's like, we all know that's there, because I've had the same experience where it's like, oh my God, what has happened to society? This is insane. Like, you just want to blow them all up. And it's like, great, go blow them all up. Couldn't care less right now. But then I go to, somewhere where there's people, like a shopping mall or something like that. And all of a sudden people are really nice. And it's like, they're opening doors and they're saying thank you. And they're like, people are normal still out in public. But I think we've bought into this idea that I can be somebody else behind a plate of glass. And I think it's a dangerous place to get in, not necessarily for society, because I'm a firm believer that once you die, you don't care anymore. It's the ones that are still living that have to face the truth of the matter. And that's when it becomes difficult to be able to go, oh, what did I contribute to this? Ooh, what did I do? Did I do that? Yeah, I do.
Right.
Sucks.
Remember, like with the whole finger pointing, right? Like you're pointing your finger and there's like 3 fingers pointing back at you. And, when you talk about social media, something interesting that just came to mind as we're talking is this whole idea of now that you can post anonymously, like, on groups and stuff. I'm like, it's probably because people thought it was carte blanche, on social media for years. Like, you do have a profile and you do usually have a picture, or you may be like recognizable. So if you are dropping, bombs on people and being a total asshole, well, people are going to know who you are. But now you can do it anonymously. Like, what? Like, that just doesn't, that just is like, if you're going to say something, like, quite honestly, have the balls to put your face behind it and stand behind what you're saying. Like, do not come at me anonymously, because let's have a conversation about it. I can have intelligent conversations without getting like irate or, like going off the top rope. I like to say, I have this like picture of, wrestling, right? Like jumping off the top rope. That's kind of what I picture. Like, I can do that every once in a while when something really gets me, going, but
Kind of fun sometimes, actually. But
it's like, yeah, let's just have an intelligent conversation where like we can be on opposing sides of the fence. We could be on the other side. I can be the Doberman and you can be the Chihuahua.
hey.
And we could still like have a decent conversation.
Right. It's amazing, mind-boggling, because to me, with the tech background I have, the anonymous ones, I just dismiss as being bots and go, wow, okay, somebody's got something to say. I don't know why, and I don't care, and block them. But I think a lot of people do still get offended by that. And they take that hostility of social media and or whatever, and then they take it home and bring it into their relationships, they bring it into their business. And that's, I think, where it becomes lethal, is because then it affects our business and affects our family. And that's what I don't want to see happen.
Right.
So I know the listeners out there, I don't know if anybody is impervious to that. I don't think they are, because if you and me get riled up, it's going to be like, anybody's going to get riled up by this. And if they're not riled up, they're either so far, removed from their emotions that that's not good either. So what are some of the things that you can help people with to work with them on to be able to kind of, when the shit hits the fan, what do you do? This counting to 10 thing just doesn't cut it anymore. Tried that. Yeah.
I think that there's different techniques, and I know that not everything is going to always be the solution. However, like I just recently got certified as a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming, as well as a process called mental and emotional release. And I think that if there's a lot of times where you're flying off the handle about stuff, there's a lot of like deep-seated anger that maybe you don't even know or aren't even aware of what the root cause was for that. So like we can have a conversation and we can dive deeper into what is making you fly off the handle when really it's not something that you could or should be so angry about. Because like how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I'm a big believer in that. And honestly, when it comes to, some people think that they're like a different person for work and they're a different person for family or personal or life or whatever it is. I'm here to tell you, there is no difference. There really isn't. And I know you're smiling and, like you're in agreement with me because, like if you fly off the handle at work, you're flying off the handle at home as well. Let me give you an example of something that I just heard not too long ago. So, a fellow coach that I know was working with a gentleman who had a great running business, like amazing business. And all of a sudden, like his employees who used to like, be executing everything that he was talking about, all of a sudden it had stopped. And the coach asked him and said, hey, like, is there like something going on? Like he couldn't figure it out. Like this CEO could not figure out why all of a sudden his employees were not like executing everything. And then come time to drill down that he found out that he wasn't setting boundaries for his kids at home. His kids were running roughshod all over him, but he didn't see the correlation between not setting boundaries and not, having that going on at home as to now what was going on at work. And as soon as he shifted, the boundaries for his kids and like executing things a little bit differently at home, all of a sudden the employees came back around and started executing what he was asking for them to do. See, it's not about words. As human beings, I believe we're human lie detectors. And so we know when people are not in alignment, they're telling us to do one thing, but they're not doing it themselves. So again, it is such a big misconception out there that you think that you are one way at home and one way at work or vice versa, whatever it is, it's not the case. You show up exactly who you are in every given situation.
Right. And I think it's an important understanding that in my experience, little kids tend to be quicker, easier mirrors, if you want to put it that way. It's like they're magic mirrors and they reflect it a lot faster, so you can't stop yourself from noticing. It's like, oh God, that's me. Oh, I sound like my mother now. Oh, it's not going down so well. And then as they kind of age and then as they move away in kind of periphery of you in a relationship status, it tends to be easier to get away with things, but it doesn't mean that the reality of the situation isn't there. We tend to, as people, air our dirty laundry faster, easier in front of people that we love and admire. So we're kind of, if anything, we're going to be more of a dick at home than we are going to be when we're at work, which is rather unfortunate. But I think it's a huge looking glass to be able to see like, hey, what's going on at home? And if that ain't 100%, probably not freaking 100% at work either. And this might be an area worth looking at.
Well, it's the same with dating, right? Like I tell people all the time, like I am not a relationship coach in any way, shape, or form. However, God bless my girlfriends who are on like dating apps right now, because I hear all the horror stories that I it's like they're always like, be grateful that you're married. It's like, right. And you know how that goes. Like those of us who are married, we're like, oh my gosh, and then those of people who are single are like, be thankful that you're married, right? I mean, it's grass is always greener.
And dicks are always bigger on the other side of the fence.
Yeah. But one of the things that everybody kind of knows this is like when you're dating someone, they're on their best behavior most of the time, right? Like, and if there's things that you're not liking or that maybe a little bit red flags or whatever the situation is, It's like, don't think that after you get married or you're in a long-term relationship that they're going to change. If anything, it's going to get worse. Right. And because, I hear that
That
all the
thing you
time.
tolerated isn't so
Yeah.
tolerable anymore.
No, and you're not, and it is not your role in a relationship to change that other person. It's like, maybe it's about growing and discovering together. But again, if you don't like it now, I'm telling you, you're not going to like it in another 10 years. It's only going to get worse. And that's going to be the thing, like, oh my God, you do this and it drives me crazy. Well, you knew that 10 years ago. So I don't know why you thought it was going to be any different.
All right. So when you're working with somebody, is it a lot of kind of behavioral change kind of work that you're doing with them? Is it more kind of psychological and like mindset thoughts? Is it the practicality of day-to-day operations, combination of all of the above? What does that look like?
It's a combination of all of the above. I believe that, first of all, it's getting to the root cause of what's keeping you stuck or what is really holding you back. Sometimes we think we know, like if you've ever done any personal growth and, limiting beliefs and all these kinds of things, we sometimes feel like we have a good handle on it, but that's not always the case. And I tell people that when you're in it, it's really hard to see a 360-degree view of yourself. So I'm always like, hey, you ever seen yourself on a video camera? You really see how yourself, like the other day, I have to say, I had this picture taken with me of a group of women, right? And I looked at that picture of myself. I was like, oh, Julie, man, like, I think, you need to like think about maybe doing a little bit more exercise, right? I was just like, man, like all of a sudden I wasn't feeling like too attractive in that picture. But like, that was like a reality check, right? Cause like I can look in the mirror, I can tell myself all day, hey, you're looking good. And then I see myself in a picture or on video and I'm like, yeah, that's the true like 360-degree view, right? So that's exactly what I do as a coach, is to just show you the blind spots that you're not seeing, as well as that I'm extremely innovative and I believe that there is an infinite amount of solutions for any problem or issue. So if you come to me with something, I'm like, have you done this? Have you thought about this? Have you tried this? And they may not all resonate. However, they're ideas that because you're stuck in it and you can't see things because of your filters and blinders, that may be the option that you've been looking for all along.
Nice. So when it comes to your programs, is there anything that's off the table? Anything that you're like, yeah, I'm not going to help you with that. That's go somewhere else and do that. Or kind of what's the spectrum of what you're helping them work on?
It's really working on yourself, right? Because the biggest, you can't escape from yourself. So if there is a struggle or a challenge in your business, again, it's like starting with you to see how you're looking at things or what you're doing. And leaders lead and they empower other people. And that's what it's about. It's empowering yourself first to be the best version of yourself and then, moving out. So I've done a lot. I will say, quite honestly, I can help people with numbers, but that's not really where my forte is as far as like numbers and because when you grow, your business is going to grow. But if you come to me and just say, okay, let's look at my numbers and let's put a plan into place, about like scaling, growing, that kind of thing. It's more of, okay, well, let's start with you because you're the key component in everything. And then we go from there. So I work with individuals who are either startups or who are leveling up and really want to find the time again to live in the moment and to be saying yes more to life opportunities rather than no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't. If you're saying I can't a lot, it's time to have a conversation.
I love it. So give us an example of a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
So I've had, like individuals, and in fact, this was one of my clients, I mean, because there is no judgment, right? Loved business, loved clients, but didn't like all the overhead and all the stuff that was going on with business and really was struggling and like unhappy in every aspect of life because not so happy with the whole business model. So through a series of working on stuff, decided that it's not anything wrong to be like an independent contractor again and to go back working for someone else and still focusing in on the clients, but not having all that overhead. So there were solutions that were there, like being able to see what's possible. Because again, when you're in it and you're stuck and you feel like you have no options, but in talking to me and saying, well, have you thought of like this avenue, and realizing that it's all lessons learned, right? Like I'm a big one in that there is no such thing as like really true failure. It's lessons learned. It's feedback. It's feedback on if you do something and it didn't work out exactly the way that you thought. It's like, okay, well, that idea didn't work. I've got like a million other, solutions of things that are out there. But sometimes we get such in a rut, like it has to look like one way, and it doesn't. It really doesn't. So it's like opening up the doors and seeing what's possible for anybody in business. And I have, people who, have been ready to leave what they're doing and completely turn around and say, you know what, I do love what I'm doing. It's just been all these other factors that have been getting in my way.
Absolutely. So somebody getting in a rut, somebody who's constantly saying I can't, somebody whose children and or employees have gone amiss. Any other stumbling blocks that somebody might be having right now and they're thinking, oh my God, Julie, I need you so badly?
Fear. Like really fear. I mean, and maybe you don't label it as fear, but if it is holding you back and you feel stuck, it's a version of fear that is keeping you right there. It's like, it doesn't cost anything but 30 minutes of your time, like for you to have a conversation with me. And I am very clear in how I can help people. And I also have a great toolkit, if you want to say, of other individuals that if I'm not the right fit, I will find and refer the right fit for you. But you stuck in your shit day in and day out, thinking something's going to change, like have a conversation, get an outside input from someone who can, see what's possible for you that you're currently not seeing for yourself.
I love it. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How do they start that journey with you?
They just have to go to the one and only, as I like to say. So it's juliejones.biz, JULIEJONES.biz, BIZ. And you can find out everything there is to know about me. And there's a place to say, hey, I want to chat for 30 minutes and we can chat.
Nice. I love it. So we will, of course, have all of Julie's notes in or links in the show notes. Go ahead and scroll down, click on those, open up in a new browser. We're not done yet. So Julie, how do you get it up and keep it up in your business? Of course, I'm talking about revenue and profit.
It's for me, I love that question. It is for me, it's about looking at really truly what's revenue producing. Okay. And so what I mean by that is that we can all get bogged down with the have tos and not look at what produces us the quickest results. And I'm also here to tell you that one of the biggest ways to produce results is to pick up the phone and have conversations, right? Like we have become like so reliant on technology. Oh, social media is going to do it for me. Email marketing is going to do it for me. It's not like people love to still have conversations. I still love to have conversations, and I love to pick up the phone and, like not even texting. Like I might text somebody and say, hey, you got a couple of minutes for us to have a quick conversation, but, surprise people and pick up the phone and have an actual honest to God conversation to see where things can go. And don't forget about like how you got there, like where you are today. There was a set system and a set way that you put things in place, and you were probably excited. Like I wake up every day excited that I'm 6 feet above ground instead of 6 feet below ground, and that I get to do what I love to do. And again, that's like, if you don't love what you're doing, that's another great person to have a conversation with, because let's talk about that as well.
I love it. So I get to ask you, and I keep thinking about this question going, I want to ask it in a different way. So I'm going to test it on you, see how you react to it. If it's all right. We'll edit if we have to. So at what point in life did you know that you were a special kind of exhibitionist and decided to expose yourself through entrepreneurial business?
Ooh, man, like I have always been, I think, like for some reason, an open book. And so I really, I've always put myself out there. Like I've never been ashamed, I guess is the best way to put it, of who I am and what I bring to the party. I mean, I know that like in my 20s and my 30s, maybe there was a little bit more of that like self-awareness. But boy, when I hit my 40s and 50s, and again, I'm always a proud one to say I'm a proud 55, right? Just getting started, just, speeding into like, the best years of my life. I've stopped giving a shit about what anybody else thinks because it's my life. It's my life, right? And I tell this shortened version of a story I heard once. Like if the Grim Reaper came to my door and I'm like, no, I'm not ready to go. And I say, hey, I call up, my good friend, Michelle, and say, hey, Michelle, Grim Reaper's at my door. Would you like to take my place? Michelle's going to be like, hell no, I've got a lot of living left to do as well. So my point is this, people won't take our place in death. So why do we allow them to live for us? And like their opinions and their beliefs, and like everybody wants to be those crabs in the crab bucket, pulling us back. It's like, just, for me, it was about, this is who I am. This is what I love. This is what I'm going to do. And, come hell or high water, I'm going to make it work.
I love it. You have been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
I just love these kinds of like real conversations, and the fact that we can still have like such great, intelligent conversations without getting all riled up and aggravated. Like we all have our opinions, right? But opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. So just consider the source, right? Consider the source and just realize what's worth having a conversation about, and stand in your truth. And when you stand in your truth, everything and anything is possible.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I know how valuable it is.
Thanks so much for having me. This has been one of the most fun, best podcasts I've ever done.
Yeah, I love it. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedlock, your mistress in business. Thank you for being here today. Be sure to subscribe to the show, share it with your friends so I can help you get it up when you need it. And we love having threesomes, so bring a friend. Thank you for listening to the Little Blue Pill for Business podcast with your mistress in business, Michelle Nedlock. Why are you still here? Go to littlebluepillforbusiness.com and get your goodies. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to share it with somebody else that you know would enjoy getting it up in business. After you subscribe to the podcast, of course, so you won't miss any future episodes. Now, check the notes for links. Oh, and only tell your wife if she's into this, entrepreneurship. And I'll see you both on the other side.
Never let the